and welcome to Cookie Snack Attack with Seriously Sweet. We're going to do some mini Halloween cookies tonight. These are a great item for you guys to do for your sets or for your fall festivals, for your flea markets, for the farmer's market, anything that's coming up, because these little cookies go quick, quick, quick. And they are very profitable because for whatever reason, the American public is willing to pay more for features than they are for full size and monster size. Hey guys, it's Amy. How are you? Thank you for joining me tonight. Please do a favor and start sharing this to your personal pages or to any groups you belong to that will allow you to share. And let's say hello to everybody real quick. And then we're going to jump right in so that you can see how fast these cookies go. And so much fun because you can use sprinkles to make them go even faster and to make them more appealing to the little kids. Hey, you guys, how are you? I love minis too. And I love how you can package them in the thin, long sleeves with a cute little bow at the top and a gift tag. They're just so sweet and they look so nice. And the price is fantastic. I think my last count was out of one of the batches of dough that I make that I could get up to 60 of these little cookies and I would sell them in sets of 5. Hey, you guys, it's so good to see everybody tonight. I hope you're doing well. Let me show you what we're going to work with tonight because there's still time to pick this up. This came from Michael's Craft Store. Retail in the US is $4.99. Just to keep the math easy, let's say $5, and I believe it was already 40% off. So that means it was $3 for, is that right? $5 and yeah, $3. Sorry. It was $3 for the set plus sales tax. And it had these 5 super cute little cutters in here. These are just slightly over an inch. So they show the cutters done like this, which is a perfectly acceptable way to decorate these cutters. People would love that, but we're going to do ours slightly different tonight. And also, if you watched the video this morning, I want to show you these pieces that we finished up, how they dried. And I went ahead and did my confectioner's glaze on the bottom of the acorns like we talked about this morning. But these were our pieces that we prepared to use on some fall projects that are coming up. So I wanted you guys to see those. Aren't they beautiful? And seriously, don't they look like you took a ton of time doing hyper realistic painting on them? But I showed you how easy it can be if you just play with the proper color palette. And I love how the acorns turned out, like very matted at the top, nice and dark in the crevices, and then the different shades down at the bottom and shiny like an acorn would actually be. And yet the stem is still a matte finish as well. And that was all done with just brown. And I think I highlighted a little bit with my yellow on the side here before I glazed, just so you guys can see that from this morning. Probably going to use one baby pumpkin tonight, and I'm probably going to use this cute glittered one to add to the baby pumpkin in this set just to fancy it up a smidge. So let me go ahead and get this out of the way. But what we're working with tonight is a little skull, a little pumpkin, a little witch's hat, a tombstone, and a cauldron. And listen, here's the other great thing about Halloween. Textures are fantastic. They're wonderful. So if your cookies get a little off kilter or they stretch a little bit or you have a little too much texture when the icing is done, Halloween is a very forgiving holiday for that. It is also a super, super profitable holiday because people enjoy it so much. All right, so a couple of quick questions over here in the comment section. These are from the moldable royal icing that I made last week, and there's a full video this morning on Tutorial Tuesday at noon. Full video on the painting of these with a very basic color palette, and I showed you how it would, how the moldable royal icing, when it had been cured and dried for a week, how they would accept painting with gel colors, airbrush colors, actually airbrushing directly on them, what they would do if you used a water base paint or if you used Everclear or vodka as your base. And they're just beautiful. And you can see no pitting. They don't dissolve it. They're just really, really attractive. So go back and watch that video. I also posted a link at the top of this video for a collection of the molds, because the set that I gave you last week to show you all of these molds together has already sold out. So I found you another link. First of all, this mold, if you have to buy it by itself, I put that in someone's below someone's comment this morning. If you buy this by itself, it's $11.99. So please go back and look at the group packages that are $9.99, $10.99, and $11.99. I posted one for you that has 2 of these molds in it. It definitely has a leaf mold. It had an acorn mold, and it had a slightly larger pumpkin. They're not identical to these. These are, but this pumpkin, you can get a large shaped pumpkin in the set, but it's not this, this particular mold material. It's this softer silicone. But take a look at those, because why should you pay $11.99 for one mold when you can get 4 or 5 and trade with someone else and it's only $9.99? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. So have the extras, trade them with somebody, use them at a gift, take them to CookieCon for a trade. Like, I just would never buy one mold for $11.99 if I could get 4 and that same molds in the set for $9.99 or $10.99. It just doesn't make any sense to me to do that. But I also like molds and I like to trade them. They turned out great, Kelly. Good to see you here tonight. Hold on one second. There we go. Hey, Debbie, how are you? You have to watch the replay, Debbie, because I know you did this morning. All right, here we go. Also, Barbie, thank you for posting that link again. And the link that I posted earlier is at the top of one of the streams, and I'll post it here, but not live links until the live stream is over. They're not hyperlinks, meaning you can't click on them and go to it right away. All right, so don't forget, you guys, the Fall Stackables class is for sale. It's all pre-recorded. Everything for it is in the group. Cookie cutters are available in STLs. You can go check that out by going to seriouslysweetcupcakes.com. The other thing I wanted to mention is the set of 4 cutters that I used in the Fall Thank You Stackables class is the same 4 cutters that I'm going to use on my night that I do my Halloween demo in the 13 nights of Halloween Plus. And just in case you missed this morning, I wanted to revisit this with you. We have a fantastic lineup of guests for the 13 nights of Halloween Plus. Every night will start at 7 p.m. and the broadcast will be about an hour to an hour and 10 minutes. Each instructor was tasked with creating a tutorial or demoing a technique or something new in their particular arena. That would be minimum of 30 minutes up to 1 hour. So we'll get everybody started each night. We'll be streaming on all the normal places. And then we're going to ask you to share to your personal pages and groups you belong to, because this is entirely free. Everyone is donating their time to roll back into the cookie community because we want to keep our community growing. So we have Laura Perotti, we have Maxine Lauer, Samantha Bogman, Jennifer Mosier, Tammy Colati, Sydney Galpern, Terry Lewis, Becky Norton, Sue Bachman, Jessie Ann Riley's joining us, Brooke Taylor, Mimi, I hope I say your last name right, Mimi Petiti, Fabiola Fabs, Maite will be with us, Timbo will be with us, and I'll be pulling up and closing it down on the last night on the 31st while the rest of you are trick-or-treating or handing out candy, okay? So we've got a fabulous lineup. There are 2 other people that have not confirmed yet, but currently our schedule is set to start on October 16th and run through the 31st. I'll join you at the beginning of each night, and then the tutorials will be live, and then we'll come back on with everybody and close it out. And you'll be able to ask questions, and I'll be replying over in the comments for you as well. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started with our minis tonight. It looks like we have some more people joining. So let me just show those comments really quick, and then we're going to get started here. Let's see. I see some more. Hey, Sally, sweet Sally from Florida has joined us. Let's see, use the person that's telling Barbie the link doesn't have the acorn mold. I posted that separately under someone's comment earlier, and I posted it in my group link. So check there, okay? Myra, hello, how are you? I am so glad you like the pieces that I did today. You know, a lot of you are super intimidated by painting on cookies and on these pieces. If you start practicing on your moldable royal icing pieces or your royal icing transfers as the first place you practice, you're not going to feel so bad if you have to throw something out because you're not in love with how it turned out. But the moldable royal icing has such a nice surface on it. You have plenty of time to practice, and you can almost erase or take away some of the color if you need to clean it up, especially if you want to try painting with a color solution, like say the color solution from Sugar Art, or if you want to use just straight glycerin to paint with, like a lot of Carmen Urbano's classes do. Like you really, once you get used to blending your colors and you start with something basic, you're going to fall in love with it, and you're going to want to do a lot of these pieces, and it's going to really help your profitability fourth quarter. All right, so let's get started. I have the 5 shapes done, and I airbrush them just to dirty them up a little bit because they're Halloween, and so they shouldn't be too bright and shiny, but I didn't have time to make a chocolate dough. So I've got my skull, my witch's hat, cauldron, tombstone, and my little pumpkin. And then I pulled one of the pumpkins that had some bling on it. That's Copper Diamond Dust by the Sugar Art. Hey, Mona, how are you? This is Copper Diamond Dust on top of the Copper Amethyst airbrush color. So you have that nice tone on tone there, but the diamond dust is a little darker. And then that's just a regular green, a leaf green gel color that I thinned with Everclear and then dirtied it up with a little bit of brown. So we're going to use that on this pumpkin because the purpose of this is that you can make these cookies fast. So we don't want to spend a ton of time on them. They're minis. We want them to have a little hit with them, but then we want to move on. So for instance, on our pumpkin, we're not going to take the time to do a bunch of sections on our pumpkins. Now, my suggestion to you is if you're doing any of the markets or anything like that this fall, is that you take 5 batches of cookie dough and punch out, use each batch and make as many of each cookie as you can in that batch, or maybe half batch it and fill it out, because when you decorate, you should do all of one cookie at one time. That's how I like to do them at Easter as well, because I can put more things in the set and I can knock out an entire, I don't know, a couple hundred mini cookies in one night. And if I need to, I can freeze them, but it's just super handy to move faster that way. So let's start with our pumpkin tonight. I'm going to show you an easy way to do this. My bag tip, I'm going to open this up just a little bit more tonight. This is a thick brown. I'm going to open it up to about a 3-point tip, maybe a 4-point circle tip. And I'm just going to pipe a nice stem on here, pressure piping so that it already has the ridges, putting that down on the cookie. The fact that I airbrushed it gives it that dark background, which is going to look great for Halloween. Then I'm going to take my pumpkin color and I'm just going to outline and flood the whole cookie. If you want to do sections, you can, but I went ahead and did one of the moldable royal icing pieces to just pop on here. And that's going to give me the extra fancy detail I need so that I don't have to stop and do sections. But if you did want to do sections, do it like this. Do section 1 and 3, just like this. Let it crust over. Let it crust over and then come back in and fill in your 3rd section and then add your embellishment. Now, something else that I found worked really well to cookie for profit and move fast, and it was also a great attention grabber for the little kids, was to pipe sections 1 and 3 and then have my orange sanding sugar, my fine sanding sugar on the side, completely cover these sections, dump it off, tap it, and then fill in my middle section immediately and move on. That way that cookie's done and I don't have to come back to it. All right, but for me tonight, adding this little embellishment because I want one of my cookies to look super fancy in here. In actuality, we're going to wind up with 2 fancy cookies because one of the cookies is going to have those beautiful sprinkles that Debbie and I picked up at Michael's. So I'm just going to pop this right on there like it's a baby cookie sitting with the large cookie. And this cookie, when it dries, is going to be ready to bag, and it's super cute. Now, because I have diamond dust on this pumpkin, I'm not going to add it to this pumpkin. But if I wanted to pop one of these pumpkins on, then I would hit the background with diamond dust before I attach this cookie, just leaving it light diamond dust or no diamond dust in the corner, so the icing would accept this really well. And the weight of it's going to make it sink down a little, and then this cookie's good to go. So you're done. One mini done, and a bunch of ideas for how to do it. Now, earlier, before we came on live, I went ahead and I did the background, just a basic black background to create my cauldron. Okay, so that during our live stream, hi, sweet pea, go see daddy. Brian, I think Penny needs you. She's right here. She'll come to you if you call her. So I did that because I did think it was worth the extra time to pipe on the little feet separately because they need to stand out. It really makes it read well that it is a cauldron. The other thing you can do here is you can take black sugar pearls and just attach a little bit of icing if you want to do all of this flooding at one time, and then pop on 2 sugar pearls so that as it dries, it will read like a little clawfoot tub or old-fashioned cauldron. All right, then these are some of the sprinkles from the Halloween collection at Michael's. They were already on special as well. So for my cauldron, I'm going to go with something light and fun in the Halloween colors versus this dark, because this has a lot of large crystals in it that are black. So that's not going to show up that well with my cauldron. So I'm going to just pull these pieces. Okay. And what I'm going to do is make it bubbly. This will be another quote unquote feature cookie within my miniature set. I'm going to fill this whole part of the cauldron in with a very light green flood because, you know, obviously when you boil things at Halloween, they're green or they glow. You could do this with purple. If you wanted to mix up your colors, that would be fine too. And I'm just going to put some green on here. And then you guys, this is so easy. Have this on a sprinkle tray or on a plate. If you're going to do it in a little Ziploc bag, just roll this down. Make sure you take your hand and kind of mix it up because the smaller bits will fall to the bottom. Flip this over and just pick up the sprinkles. Okay, that's all you have to do. Take your scribe, and I'm so sorry, but I do have food gel all over my hands from my painting earlier today, so just try to ignore that if you can. All right, we're just going to tap that down because we want to see the black along the back. And we just kind of want that smeared all over the front of the cookie, but we want to tap them because we don't want them falling off in the bag once we bag them. But look, that's done. That cookie's done. You can do these cookies really fast. Also, I'm going to take my brown and I'm going to make it look like my stirring spoon is sticking out. And I'm going to just give it a little jiggle with my thick icing as I'm doing that so that it looks like a textured broom handle. So cookie 2 is done. So now we have 2 cute cookies that have a little bit of extra embellishment here. Aren't these sweet? All right, so we've got that. Earlier, before we jumped online, I smeared a little bit of my black icing on my skull. Now, I know you guys are in love with using ivory as your color. I'm sorry, white as your color for skulls, but it'll save you a step of either airbrushing for accenting or dry dusting if you just skip and use an ivory color for your skull. Again, this one is super easy. We're just going to do an outline. Okay, all the way around. I'm using a combined consistency of 18 to 20 seconds. I'm going to do some bigger eyeballs in case my icing is a little loose. I don't want it to cave in, so I'm going to do as big as it'll let me do. And then I'm going to make a big gaping mouth right here, like he's just really ghoulish, right? All right, and then flood. All right, and make sure that you're careful. If you do this quickly, you can just flood and it's going to settle right in. I've already airbrushed the outside of the cookie, so it already looks dirtied. And do you see what I mean? Like how the icing will push in. So make as large openings as you can in case you over flood. And if your eyeballs are different sizes, don't worry about it. Another super quick, easy thing you can do on these cookies this year at Walmart, they have jars of the candy eyeballs that you can just pop on these cookies if you want to do something like that. This also looks really cool if you want to smear the back of your cookie with a neon green or a neon pink or a neon purple, and then come back once it's dry. If you want to put a little more time into the cookie, you can do an outline of that coordinating color around the edge and give it that little bit of pop. You can see how quick it goes. So you do have time to do it. The question is, do you need to with these other cookies, right? If you take the time, hold on one sec. I'm going to bring them all into frame for you here. Can you see all those? So these are done. Look how cute they look together. Those are darling. They're not too scary, but they definitely read Halloween. Parents will like them. They're great teacher gifts too. Oh, and one thing I wanted to tell you, it's totally okay to cherry pick some of your sprinkles for certain areas of your cauldron to make it look like it's bubbling if you don't see enough of the bubbles on there. And you can also play with the background color of that oozing mess coming out of your cauldron. All right, now my recommendation for these is to ice them in a charcoal gray or a light gray, rumple up your parchment like we did last year, and then dry these so they come out with a stone texture. And then just take a pen and write RIP or draw a skull on it or do a cross on it. Tonight, we're just going to ice them in ivory and keep moving, okay? I'm going to use my black if I can find it and just put a little cross or hash cross bones on here if I can do it. But I'm going to invert my color so it looks a little different. Also, I've already got one black cookie in my set, so I kind of want to work with different colors, which you'll see in a minute when we go to the witch's hat. If you're going to do the witch's hat in black, then really lighten up your cauldron so that you have plenty of colors, like maybe use a gray instead of going black. To me, I rather have my cauldron black, but you can do that however you like. This cookie's already dirtied up and now it's outlined. I'm just agitating with the tip of my bag. When this dries, I can use a red edible ink marker and draw bones. I do happen to have a little stencil that will fit right on here where I can swipe bones if I want to do that later. If I want to do a whole bunch of them really quick, that would be a way to go, but you'd have to let all of these dry first. If you do the parchment technique, you'll have to let them set out about 6 to 8 to 12 hours, depending on the humidity where you're working at. And when you pull that off, then you can just use an edible ink marker or some gel paints, and you can paint some crosses, make these say RIP, whatever you want to do with them. But for tonight, we're going to leave it like this. Also, guys, totally cute. If you get into using the moldable royal icing, use one of your itty bitty rose molds or one of your rose molds that has multiple sizes. Get the smallest one you can get and make some baby black roses and pop a black rose in the corner, write RIP, move on. Again, it looks like you have another fancy cookie because you did that little bit of accent work to it. We're down to our 5th cookie, okay? And in the amount of time that we've been talking about doing these cookies, I probably could have done 12 to 18, but I'm going slower because I'm talking to you about how to decorate them. Now, for this witch's hat, I'm going to use my dark green because I want to show you this really quick. I'm going to do my green first on my hat. Oops, let's open this up. Actually, let me do this part first, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do on the hat. I'm going to use my light green for the hat. I forgot about this, but I want to push this with the seam towards the ceiling. If you haven't done this before, push out that extra icing. And I want to cut this with a very, very small inverted V so that when I turn it on its side, it looks like a chicken beak. This adds a lot of bang to your cookie with very little effort to just put a leaf on our pumpkin here, okay? Coming off of that. And then what I'm going to do is use my light green flood icing. I'm going to do this entire hat at the top with a green because this is going to look cute in my set. All right, come right across here. My cookie's kind of warped. This was dough that I had rolled several times. If that and I'm going to grab one of my purple beads and I'm going to drop that in on my hat and just make sure it's securely down in there so when it dries, it will all stay together. Now that light green icing was just a little thin, so if that happens to you, just take that off. If you're doing a bunch of these cookies, rather than having to go back and touch every one of them, which reduces your profitability because it's time spent on the cookie, what I would do is just stop and thicken up your icing. And when your icing is right, go back and do your whole tray. Now, look at that cute set of cookies right here that we have with all of our colors tying together. And then we could bag them in one of those 3x9 or 3x11 sleeves. Let me see if I can lift this a little so you can see them all together. And an upright sleeve. Imagine black rose on here so it ties into this color. And then the RIP. So you can do that. You could do it like this because I think this is cute too, because sometimes placement is a lot of tying all of this together. I want a wide cookie at the bottom so it sits flat in the bag. Then have that tombstone with the black rose so it ties into this cookie. Put your pumpkin in the center because it's just bright and cute. Then bring your skull down next to your pumpkin so it can sit in there and not move around in the bag. And then you can put your hat up here, which looks like it was meant to go on your skull. Bag that. Your colors and have all been thought out and they've been separated. Are spaced out so your design looks good. And then you can do just some of the cute little Halloween bows and put this baby together and you are off and running. When I sold these in the store, these were $4.95. And that was just with a gift tag and a pre-made bow that cost me 20 cents. My bags were like 7 cents a piece at the time for this. And most of the time it didn't require a backer. So they would just fit right down in the sleeve and that would keep them straight. And that's all I would need to do. All right. Now, also, this is not going to break. This is not going to break. This is not going to break. Your little tiny leaf is lower than the pumpkin that's on here. So you're not going to have any worries with that. So there you go. Nice, easy set for you guys. Okay. All right. Let's see if there's any comments here. Oh, you heard my puppy when she barked. Yeah, she wanted attention. Hey, Sally. If I missed you earlier, I'm sorry. Barbie, you like these? Mimi says hello to everybody. Christina. So see how cute? Minis are so cute and ultra minis are even cuter. Things that are 1 inch or less, I call ultra minis, but they make great sets. Now, here's another thing that you can do if you want to increase your profitability and you want a larger ticket sale. Let's say you don't want to mess with a $4.95 sale, okay? Maybe that's not your customer. So at Easter time, I generally pop into the $1.25 store, used to be known as the Dollar Tree, but we know it isn't any longer. And I check out whatever packaging they have for whatever holiday that's coming up. This works particularly well at Easter, you guys. I'll make a whole bunch of these and then I'll sell them, depending on what packaging I can find. I will sell them in 12s, 24, 36, 48, or 60. Priced accordingly, and that way they can come already spaced out in some packaging. So if somebody's having an office party or a get together, something with the Chamber of Commerce, something with your local business group for Halloween, or you want little cutesy things to hand, people in your town want to hand out your cookies as favors on the night that the kids do trick-or-treating, you just made them a super affordable item that they can pass out or they can put out on platters. So don't, if you're a home baker or you're working on a smaller scale, don't get sucked into buying 100 or 150 or 144 trays or boxes. Okay, sweetie, I'll be there in a minute. Trays or boxes or anything like that. Just visit the $1.25 store, up 6 or 12, and have more of a variety of offerings. And that way you can get every level of sale possible for your regular customers. Okay. All right, well, I'll put a picture of these up. I hope you enjoyed the little video tonight. Please go back and watch the video from this morning where we painted our moldable royal icing pieces. And if you want to know how to make these, go back and watch last Tuesday night. You can do it the easiest on YouTube. On YouTube, you can go back and go click the little button for lives, and they're all in date order because of how I code the videos. And thanks for joining me a few minutes early tonight because I really needed to wrap this up before 7:30. If you have any questions, post them in the group or message me. I'm going to go back under the Cookie Snack Attack group and repost the links I'm going to repost the links for the moldable royal icing, for the most current set of molds that I could find for you guys, and the link to join the holiday collaboration group so you can get in on your Halloween collaboration, because that video is going to get a lot of exposure. And I'll put a link in there as well, all under one post, to where you can purchase the fall stackables class that's pre-recorded. Or if you want to buy the cutters for that, because I'm using those for the 13 nights of Halloween plus for my demo that night. Okay. So there's still time to get all of those things. And if you have ordered anything, everything has been shipped. So if you had an order in, check your email and your junk folder. You've already got tracking numbers. Everything that was ordered has been shipped out. Okay, so we're all caught up around here. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, I hope, with another video. Have a great night, you guys, and thanks for joining me.